Hi, my name's Dean Legge. I'm the editor and owner of something called DawgPost.com. Cover the University of Georgia and have done so in writing and photographs for the last 14 or 15 years. We try to use 3 photographers at every single Georgia game, football game, if we can. 2 on the ground, 1 up top. Obviously, we split up what we do. This image is one that was shot by Ethan Birch, who is a student at Georgia and is a novice photographer. But because he had a 500 millimeter lens with an 2x with a 1.4 extender, and because he was where I told him to be, he got a heck of a shot. And I think that you can see, in terms of photos, you don't have to be perfect to get something very good. You can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and that's what happened here with Ethan's picture of Todd Gurley at Georgia Tech in 2013. If you've never seen Todd Gurley play, you're missing out. He's I don't really know where to start with Todd. He is an impressive running back, and he's a guy that is not very talkative, but until he gets on the field, then he gets very amped up. This picture was taken in the elevated at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Probably, I don't know where Ethan was, but he did a very good job of tracking Todd Gurley. This picture was a touchdown. Obviously, Todd has the ball in his left hand. The picture is actually slightly out of focus. We're not worried about that, though, because you can sharpen it. Todd dove from about the 5-yard line. And I have other angles of this picture that I got that were pretty good, but nobody has this angle, and it's shooting down on Todd. Now, what was happening right here was Georgia Tech was up 20-0. They looked like about to blow the Dogs out. And then Todd Gurley happened, and he took this ball, and it was just a sweep around the left side, and he knew what he was doing. He took off. He had very good clearance. There was nobody on him. He was probably about a 15-yard run. There's nobody on him about the 10-yard line, and I think by the 5-yard line, he knew what he was doing. You can see there's a receiver on the right-hand frame of the picture trying to block, but by then it was over because Todd had dove. I mean, I've been on the sideline for 15 years. That was one of the most impressive leaps I've seen. And the thing about it was, Todd did the same thing the week before against Kentucky. It just wasn't as fabulous as this one. So what Ethan Birch's job is to do at every Georgia game is pretty easy at Sanford Stadium, which is where Georgia plays, because Sanford's pretty big. Some of the places that you go to photograph, like Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, etc., are not so big. They're less than 60,000 seats. You don't want to block anybody's view. You really, that's something that you got to be very careful of. But the whole point, photography anymore is there's so many idiots out there with a camera that anybody can kind of take a basic 101 picture of somebody or something at a game, and it's not going to look bad. I mean, it's not going to look great, but it's not going to look bad. The difference anymore between the guys that seem to shoot for Sports Illustrated, besides their straight up skill and talent, is that they have the ability to do things other people can't do. They can go to elevated positions. They have people helping them. They're just better than everybody else, and they take advantage of what they've got. They have multiple lenses at games. So what we do is I'm just speaking for Dawg Post. We have 3 different lenses that we use, 3 different people. We have a 200-400 f4, we have a 500 millimeter f4, and we have a 400 millimeter 2.8. I use the 500 millimeter, but in the first half of each game of 2013, I used the 200 and 400. It's a little bit different. So I give Ethan the 500 millimeter, and he goes up into the stands and he shoots down. At Georgia, you're kind of far away from the field because of the way the stadium is. At Georgia Tech, at South Carolina, at Clemson, at Vanderbilt, you're not. You're right on the field, and it can make for some very nice images of, when you're in the stands. Todd, who I think is left-handed, but I'm not sure, has got that ball in his left hand like a bird with a claw. And he sneaks that ball in there. If you've not seen video of it, you can just YouTube Todd Gurley, Georgia Tech. And he takes off from 5 feet away. You can't do this. You can't shoot like this if you're the only person shooting for your organization. You can forget it, because it's just not dependable enough. You can't get enough from sitting in the stands. If you're the only person sitting in the stands and there's 2 or 3 other people on the field, then you get pictures like this on occasion. But Todd's being Superman here. This is a very good picture. It's shot with a D700, a Nikon D700 with a 500mm f4, an old 500mm f4 with a 1.4 extender. So this is about at 700 millimeters. 700 millimeters exactly for the lens. He shot it at 5.6. The shutter was 1/1000th of a second. So Ethan, who is a good student photographer, did a very good job here of tracking the ball. And when he saw Todd, he knew. And in fact, I think this was just before half. I think because he only shoots for the first half, he has to go right in the second. But I think when I saw him, I said, "I hope you got that shot, Todd." And he said he was very confident that he got it, and he did. And this was the result. You could do a lot of different things with this image. I don't know if it's a cover or not. I'm sure you could make it a cover. I have not, but I do think it's a very good picture. And I think that when Ethan sees this, and the guys that I know that shoot photos with me, I'll get a lot of grief for picking somebody else's picture. But whatever is good, and whatever is good goes to the front. This was a picture of the day that day. In a wild game, a double overtime win for Georgia, 40 to I think it was 40 to 34, whatever it was. But it's a good shot, and it was an elevated shot from just above the student section at Georgia Tech. So check out some of the other videos and go over to dawgpost.com for more information.